Hey guys, I'm Shay and welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've been trying to film this video, so I'm so glad I'm finally doing it. If you're new here, I just got back from Hong Kong and Shanghai and I'm so excited to tell you guys all about my trip and answer all of your questions. Which is my favorite Disney park? It's Hollywood Studios. It's one of my least favorite parks. I wanted something that said Hong Kong on there. Okay, I'm just gonna jump right in because I feel like this is gonna be kind of a longer video and it's been taking me a little while to film this just because honestly, I really don't know why it's taking me this long to film this. I did ask you guys over on Instagram to find out what kind of questions do you guys have for me. And if you're wondering, I do have my kitty here and my dog. They're probably popping in and out of this video. So I am actually very excited to film this video and let's get into it. The first question is, I have everything on my phone, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so the first question is, I'm gonna just jump straight into it and jump into my favorite question that somebody had asked, which is my favorite Disney park? And that is a very, very hard question for me to answer. Of course, I'm gonna be biased. I would say top one is Disneyland Resort because it is home. It is built in 1955 and it's the original that Walt Disney had imagined. Number two, tied with number one kind of, is Tokyo Disney Sea. That one is truly like original, truly unique. We have Shanghai Disneyland for number four. Number five is Epcot in Orlando. I would say after that would be DCA, Disney's California Adventure. And then after that would be Animal Kingdom. Then I have Paris Disneyland. Now, Paris Disneyland is not one of my favorite parks, but I ranked it up higher there because of their castle. I truly loved the castle. The whole rest of the park needs some work. After that, I have Hong Kong Disneyland. And again, I do personally love their castle as well. It is a smaller park and there isn't a whole lot, so I know that this wouldn't be on somebody's radar. But again, I'm a huge Duffy and Friends person, so I loved seeing all of that Duffy and Friends characters walking around and all their merch. And actually, I would say that Hong Kong Disneyland definitely passes up Disney Sea in the fact that they have way more Duffy merch. It's insane. So if you're not a Duffy and Friends person, then of course your order would probably be different than mine. And then we have Magic Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom is actually not one of my favorite parks. I'm gonna rank it slightly higher just because of People Mover, the Carousel of Progress. I love all of the original rides in Magic Kingdom. The castle is beautiful. It's very grand. Of course, seeing that on Main Street is absolutely beautiful. After that is MGM, and I believe that's what it's called in Paris, the second park in Disneyland Paris. Let me check that actually. Just kidding. Why did I call it MGM? I think that was Hollywood Studios back in the day. But it's the Walt Disney Studios park, I guess is what it's called, for Disneyland Paris is the second park. That again is on my bottom list. There wasn't a whole lot of things there. They have Crush's Coaster there, which was one of my favorites. Riding that in Disneyland Paris was a lot of fun. And then bottom of my list, I'm sorry, I'm gonna break all your guys' heart, but it's Hollywood Studios. It's one of my least favorite parks. And I'm gonna have to say that probably because we have a lot of things here in Disneyland that I feel like every time that I go over to Florida that I don't feel like I need to ride it. So that I don't need to like ride some of those rides. And also in Hollywood Studio, there's really nothing but shows and things like that where I'm just not very interested in. I'm kind of a ride girly and a shop girly, so for me, it just doesn't do it for me. Okay, continuing with all of the Disney questions, how do I book park tickets? So booking park tickets for Hong Kong and Shanghai Disneyland were actually very easy and the pricing was pretty affordable. I believe we had paid around like $80 a day for Hong Kong and Shanghai Disney. It was very inexpensive. Just definitely cheaper than it is here, but it's not as cheap as in Tokyo, where the tickets could be as low as $30. So you can book it directly through their website, through their Hong Kong or Shanghai Disneyland website, or you can book it through Klook, which is one of my favorite apps to use. And actually I use Klook a lot to book for any kind of excursions outside of the parks as well. Like I did for the Victoria Tram Peak, we booked through Klook, and a few other things where it's very easy. I also recommend Klook as well if you're going to Tokyo Disneyland too. Did I do any reservations at the parks? Yes, I did. I did actually make a reservation for the Hong Kong, it's for the Mystic Manor restaurant. I gotta find the name of it. We did make a reservation for that restaurant, and it was a dining reservation for dinner and the fireworks show. So it was kind of like a premiere access thing as well for that. And that was incredible. I would highly do that again. It was pretty expensive. I would want to say it was around $80 US, and it was it was expensive, yes, but I think it was worth it in the fact that you can choose a whole buffet and there's a bunch of options. If I have videos or pictures, I'll be sure to show as well. But there was so much food. Like, I was so incredibly full. You go around and there's a whole buffet, but then also you're served with a whole entree. And then followed by the entree, they also come around and they gave you a banana, ice cream as well, and they give you drinks, welcome drinks, and things like that. So it was incredible. And then that whole package also came with front row viewing of the fireworks. And if you saw my Hong Kong Disneyland video, you will see that part of that dining experience, and it was incredible. How many days do you think you need in each Disney park? Okay, so I like this question because Hong Kong, we really only need Hong Kong Disneyland, you really only need 1 day for this park. It is a very small park, but we also went in off season, so we felt like, you know, there was no rides there was no wait time for any of the rides, and everything we did very, very quickly. The only thing that we didn't really do is any kind of character meetups or, you know, meet and greets and take photos with them, just because that we're not very interested in that, because the lines were incredibly long for that, especially meeting with Duffy and friends. But to go back to the question, I would definitely book 1 to 2 days for Hong Kong Disneyland, just because it is a very small park. I want to say there's like maybe around 10 rides or so. It's very easy and doable to do in 1 day, but 2 days was definitely great. Okay, so Shanghai Disney, we did book for 3 days, and because we were also there in off season, we were there in February. It was, again, I would say empty for sure, definitely. We're not used to those to our parks here at home for Disneyland Resort. Our parks are constantly always busy, even in quote unquote off season. So this was a huge shock for us. We booked for 3 days, and I felt like we were easily able to do it in 2 days. We did pretty much do everything the very first day, and we got a lot done. And then the second day was a little bit more chill. And then the third day, we just kind of hung out and relaxed and soaked it all in before going home. Do you need premier access for Hong Kong or Shanghai? Again, we went during off season, and it was, you know, not as busy as it normally could be versus like spring, summer, and I believe fall also gets pretty busy there. We went in February, like I said, and we did not use premier access. The only thing that I did mention was booking for the reservation to watch the fireworks, and we did do a reservation as well for watching the fireworks up on the top for Shanghai, so we can have like a whole overview. We did pay for like little extra things like that, but we did not pay for premier access and did not feel like it was worth it. But I could totally see how these lines could be incredibly insane and busy. And of course, I've seen videos too of especially Zootopia in Shanghai of how busy that park can get. So I would kind of play it by ear. I feel like if you were to get to the parks and you already see that the lines are insane, then definitely go ahead and book for premier access. And also, depending if you are there for a short amount of time, if you're only there for a day or two, then of course I would recommend to book for premier access. What was my favorite merch that I bought? I went crazy with all of the merch there. but that's so hard to limit what kind of merch I bought. I would say I did like anything that was like customized, that said like Hong Kong or Shanghai on it, just because it's very unique to their parks and you can't find those anywhere else. So I am very cozy today. I am wearing a Shanghai Disneyland sweatshirt right now, and I love this one, and I think it's so cute, and it's pink, of course, that's my favorite. But what else? I would say a bunch of ears and stuff were my favorite that I bought. Let me just show a few things, 1 second. Okay, I'm back, and I did bring some things with me. Okay, so my favorite things were, like I said, all of the unique things that says Shanghai or Hong Kong on it. And I like to collect pins from all of the parks that I've been around the world. So I've collected every single pin now, which is very exciting. This one I did get from a little machine in Shanghai Disneyland. It was actually right next to the Tron ride. And I think it's so cool and unique, and it was a little mystery pin, and it's actually the one that I wanted, so that was exciting. This next one is a Hong Kong Disneyland pin, and it's just very simple and silver, and I just wanted something that said Hong Kong on there, so that was cute. And then for ears, I'll show my couple favorite pair of ears that I got. These ones are absolutely beautiful, and I could not wait to wear these. They have little jewels on them, and it's a really pretty like purpley lavender color, and it's very cute and girly, and it kind of reminds me of the Vera Wang bridal ears, and just gives that kind of like vibe to it, I guess. But there's that. And then my next pair of ears is also from Shanghai Disney. Wait, let me check. These are from Shanghai, right? These are also from Shanghai. And then my next pair of ears are also from Shanghai, and it's the Pirate's ears. And I am literally obsessed with Shanghai Pirates. It was one of the best Pirates ride I've ever been on. Hands down, just top favorite ride. And I'm so sad that I probably may not be able to experience that ever again. But here are the ears. They are so cute, and I love the little hoops on them. I did already wear these to Disneyland, and I got so many compliments on them, and they're so cute and simple and just, you know, neutral. I am even more of a plushie girl now since coming back from China. Plushies are, you know, taking over the world right now, I feel, and I've always loved them, and I've always liked them in Tokyo Disney, but I literally grew my collection. This is just a few of my favorites. This one I did pick up from Hong Kong Disneyland. It's a little oyster from Alice in Wonderland. I love it so much, and I love the pearl little clasp here on the top. This next one, I immediately had to get. I did have a little Zootopia Judy Hopps bound while I was in Shanghai, and I had to get this one from the Zootopia to kind of remember my trip, and I just think it's so cute. It's the popsicle. This next one is adorable. It's very, very unique to China. Hong Kong had one, and Shanghai had one. Like, they were slightly different, but Minnie Mouse in her very traditional outfit, and I just think it's so cute, and it's pink and red, and I believe this one was from Hong Kong as well. And then this one was also from Hong Kong Disneyland, and his name is Albert. I am obsessed with Albert. He was from the Mystic Manor from the ride. It's their version of kind of like their haunted mansion, but wasn't very scary or anything like that. And I love him so much. He was adorable, and I had to get a little something that was Albert. Okay, what was my favorite ride in each park? My goodness. So my favorite ride, I'll start with Hong Kong and Shanghai, but I might do my favorite ride in each park around the world just because they're all so different, and they all have their own unique little things. So I would start with Hong Kong first. Hong Kong, my favorite ride was Mystic Manor. I did talk to you about it with the little Albert plush keychain. It was one of the cutest rides I've ever been on. It was a trackless dark ride, and it was incredible. So good. I wish that we have it here. My favorite ride in Shanghai, I also did briefly talk about this, was Pirates. It is hands down the best Pirates ride I've ever been on. If you've never seen a video of it, I do have small clips in my previous videos, but definitely look it up here on YouTube of the ride. It was so good, and of course it's not going to do any justice because there's so many parts that were just, I was so surprised about, honestly. I had no idea that you go sideways and you're on a boat, and then all of a sudden you go backwards and you're on a track. It's literally insane. Hands down, best ride. Then I'm going to talk about my favorite ride here at home in Disneyland. I'm going to say it's Pirates as well, honestly, because it's an original, one of the originals, and I just love that ride. It's very, just feels like Disneyland for me, just feels like a good classic, and I've always grown up riding Pirates. It's one of my mom's favorite rides, so I've always enjoyed it. My next favorite ride in DCA is, I gotta think about that. I guess my next favorite ride in DCA is probably Cars. I love that ride. To me, it's always so much fun of riding that. It's a fun little roller coaster, and it's a great little roller coaster for the whole family. My favorite ride in Magic Kingdom, I would say, is the People Mover? Or is it, wait, the People Mover? Or Tron. So completely different, but they're both so unique. The People Mover obviously is a good classic, and Tron is very new to the park, and it just makes me think of Shanghai now and every time I go back to Florida. So I don't know, it's very different. My favorite ride in Epcot is Guardians, and I love, love, love the Guardians. It is the best ride that they have in that entire park, honestly, in the entire Disney World. The theming, the music, like everything about it, the motion of the ride, the track, like it's incredible. My favorite ride in Animal Kingdom, I would say, is Dinosaur, but I hope that they don't get rid of it. But I would say it's either Dinosaur or Everest is probably one of my favorites. My favorite ride in Hollywood Studios, probably Tower of Terror, because Tower of Terror is one of my favorites, and I'm so sad still that we got rid of it here at DCA. It will forever be my favorites, and I'm kind of a spooky girl. Yeah, apparently I don't dress like it, but I love, love, love the spookiness, and I love the story of it, and I'm a huge Twilight Zone fan. I think I got all of Orlando covered. My favorite ride in Tokyo Disney Sea is Journey to the Center of the Earth. An incredible ride as well. I'm going to try to be quick with this. My favorite ride in Tokyo Disneyland is Beauty and the Beast. It is such an incredible ride. When my brother and I went on it, we were speechless. Like, it was a beautiful ride. Definitely hands down, just beautiful and stunning, and gosh, I wish we have this here. My favorite ride in Paris is either, I don't know, I would say either Crush's Coaster I loved, or I mean, if Ratatouille, I loved Ratatouille too when I was there, but we do have that now here in the States. What else? Crush's Coaster. Crush's Coaster was really great, and Remy, I would say, are probably my top two there. I think I covered all of the parks. Yeah. So now I'm going to cover more questions outside of Disneyland. People have questions of, like, you know, traveling and things like that. So what was the weather like when I was there? The weather was freezing cold when I was in Shanghai and hot and humid when I was in Hong Kong. The weather was very drastic. I did go, I left on Valentine's Day, and I got to Hong Kong on February 16th. And when we landed, it was hot and humid. And I wasn't expecting that. I think I saw the weather and it was around 70, mid 70s to 80s-ish. And for the first couple days, yes, it was very hot and humid. At night, it would cool down very quickly and it would get pretty chilly. But then we had drastic weather when we were in Shanghai, and it was freezing anywhere from 30 to 40 degrees. And for a Cali girl, that is freezing, especially when you're sitting outside, waiting in line and going on the rides and watching fireworks and stuff. So it was very, very cold. So take that, you know, with a grain of salt whenever you go. The weather changes, and it just depends on what time of year you go. Did you feel safe in traveling to China, and what are your thoughts outside of the parks? Yes, I felt incredibly safe, and I had no issues whatsoever. That I will tell anybody and everybody is that it was clean and it was incredibly safe. did I need a Chinese visa? And yes, I did get a Chinese visa. My Chinese visa is good for 10 years at the time that I had gotten it. As a lot of you know, I was supposed to go to China back in 2019. That trip got canceled and we postponed it for 2020, and we know what happened in 2020. So I had to postpone my trip, and luckily my visa was still good. The visa lasts for 10 years. And it was a fairly easy process. It was a little tedious and a lot of work trying to get all the paperwork and stuff for it. But once when I had it, you know, it came kind of quickly, actually, within a couple of months, I would say. I haven't had to get, you know, any other paperwork for that, so it's been a little while. So I don't remember the steps exactly of how I got in my visa and stuff, but it was a pretty fairly easy process to get. Did I use a VPN? I did not use a VPN. I actually had my phone turned off for most of my trip while I was in Hong Kong and Shanghai. My phone just stayed in airplane mode, and I know that most of you guys cannot probably live like that, but I was traveling with great people that were able to help me out, and they had their phones turned on. At least one of them had their phones turned on if anything had happened or we needed anything. So I had no issues. And then when I, you know, saw Wi-Fi or saw that there was Wi-Fi in a cafe or a restaurant, I would just connect to that, and that helped me out a lot. So I was trying to do this trip as much as possible on a budget, so I did not want to get all the extra things. I know with a VPN, some people want to try to connect to Instagram and TikTok, but I didn't have any issues with that. I was not able to get onto TikTok at all. But I was able to use Instagram, which is totally fine. I was able to, you know, reconnect by the time that I got, for whatever reason, actually, I'm thinking about it. I was able to connect to TikTok once when I got back to Hong Kong, but when I first got there, I was not able to, which is kind of strange, but not a big deal to me. I was able to at least go through Instagram. And I believe that's all of my questions for this video. Thank you guys so much for submitting all of your questions for me. I am so glad that I was finally able to film this video, and I know it's been a long time coming, and I'm so excited for all of you guys who are going to Hong Kong and Shanghai Disneyland. I guess that I'm going to end this video here, and thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, do all of the lovely things, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!